Hey guys, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you, and I'm going to talk about sharpening today. I know you can see all the sharpening stuff out. I do have a couple of knives here, just more for some demonstration purposes. This is my Lion Steel Kerr, and over here I've got, whoops, over here I've got the Southern Talc. Both amazing, amazing knives, very, very favorites of mine. And then I've got a bunch of sharpening stuff out here. So this is the Canon Work Sharp, this is a Spyderco Sharp Maker, this is the Edge Pro Apex. Of these, the Edge Pro is the most expensive and certainly will give you the best performance, but that's not a video about this. I will do a video comparison of all of these sometime down the road. I'm waiting for one thing to get here and to put a little bit of use on it before I do that. So be anticipating that. But for now, let's talk about the top 5, count them, 5 mistakes that people make when they're sharpening. Number 1, I feel like with my hand coming in here that I'm like birdshot. Number 1, not enough practice, okay? Not enough practice. The one thing that all of these share in common is that none of them are idiot-proof, okay? It's going to take a certain amount of skill development to be proficient with almost any sharpening system. Certainly any sharpening system that I've seen that's any good is going to take a little bit of effort to be proficient with it. And so what you need to do is when you get your new, whatever it is, you just got your new Sharp Maker or your new Edge Pro or Work Sharp, or any number of other systems. You got a Wicked Edge, you got a new, Lansky, whatever sharpening system you're using, go and get all the kitchen knives, right? Take your kitchen knives to the kitchen table, set up your sharpener, and sharpen all the kitchen knives. Okay, you're gonna have a hard time with some of them. You're gonna mess some of them up. Usually they're pretty soft steel, and usually they're not that expensive, so it's not the end of the world. But before you go and sharpen a knife like this, that's going to have a pretty good steel in it, that's going to be more abrasion resistant, or a knife like this where you go, hey, this knife cost me a lot of money and I really don't want to mess it up. Well, good, sharpen a few knives that didn't cost you a lot of money. Sharpen knives that have different edge profiles, and that way you'll develop some skills before you get to the really difficult stuff. And even if you have to go out and buy some cheap gas station crappy knives, go ahead and do that. It's well worth it. Number 1, not enough practice. Number 2, number 2 is getting the angle right. Okay, so take some time, and here's the things that, by the way, this ties into another point, but what you want to do is when you're going to sharpen your knife, I think everyone understands that on this knife there's an angle that exists, right? So the secondary bevel is coming down to a point, right? Well, you need to know is that what angle is it that I need to be working on? Something like this is set at 40 degrees inclusive. Something like this is adjustable. This is also adjustable from I don't know, 15 to 30 degrees. So figure out what the angle is that you're working with, and then set the right angle to sharpen your knife, unless you know what you're doing and you may want to reprofile your knife. But if you don't know what you're doing, just use the angle that's already there. Most knives are around 20 degrees anyway, okay? But make sure you got that angle right, and the way to do that is to get a Sharpie and color on the secondary bevel so that you can see what you're doing. So that you can see that when you're taking your strokes on the knife, you're doing a good job. You're getting a consistent angle on there. So number 2, get the right angle. Number 3, taking off too much material. I have people bring me knives and they're messed up, and as I take a look at it, I go, whoa, what in the world happened to this thing? And you can tell that they've gone at it with a grinder at home, or anyway, whatever they've done, they've taken off a ton of material, and because of that, now they've got a knife that is kind of messed up, and they're calling me going, hey, is there anything we can do to fix this silly thing? Well, oftentimes there is, but sometimes there isn't. Consider if you take and make this excuse me, if you take and make this nice straight edge into a recurve because you've taken too much material out of here, what are you going to do with it other than throw it away, right? So that's the worst, the reason taking too much material is so bad, because you can literally destroy your knives. So make sure that you're counting your strokes, make sure that you're feeling for a burr, okay? And all you want to do, you know, is you work on one side at the right angle until you start to feel a burr on the opposite side. Then you know it's time to switch until you feel a burr again. And that's all you want to take, okay? Number four, cutting corners. Now, usually this is for people who are a little more advanced, and they're talking to me and they go, Kevin, I've got this system and I'm really working to get like a mere edge or a hair popping edge, and it's not quite performing for me. And I know other people get really good performance out of their Sharp Maker, or out of their Work Sharp or their Edge Pro or whatever else they may have. And oftentimes it's because they're not spending enough time working through all of the various grits. Okay, so I've got the 220 here, then there's a 400, then a 600, then a 1000. You need to work your way through every one of them if you're going to get that really mere polish, if you're going to get that really crazy sharp edge. Now, if you just want a working edge, or you want a bit of a toothy edge, yeah, go ahead. You could sharpen and stop at 220, right? You can get a sharp knife. It just won't have a mere edge on it. So sometimes people are cutting corners. Now, a more dangerous corner to cut, and this kind of goes back to taking too much material, is on a sharpener like this, okay? And I caught myself doing this a couple times. If you take this knife and you're getting ready to sharpen it, and you just cock it over this way a little bit, right? What you've done is you've made it so that your sharpening stone here is only going to contact the very apex of your secondary bevel, and you're going to take off material, only a little bit of material, then you're going to do the other side and take off only a little bit of material, cock it the other way. And some people, you know, you could be doing that legitimately to put on a secondary bevel. However, if you're not, right, if you think you're sharpening your knife, you're going to find, man, I get a super sharp edge really fast. Well, that's because on the edge, all you've done is this, right? You haven't actually taken a full amount of material off both sides. You've taken this edge and now just changed the very tip of the angle. And of course, yeah, it will give you an edge really fast, but it's going to give you headaches in the long run. Finally, pore environment / V-shaped sharpeners. Now, the reason I'm putting these two together is I find V-shaped sharpeners are usually in kitchens or in outdoor kits or something like that, where, you know, the ones I'm talking about, where you open the knife and you drag it through. Hold on, I gotta get my hands on camera. Can't do it here. You open the knife, you drag the blade through a V-shaped, two pieces of crossed ceramic rods. Those sharpeners are notoriously bad. They will give you a reasonably sharp edge a lot of the time. However, that edge will not be as fine as most people want. I've seen those actually get messed up and end up either one, not touching the knife where they need to at the apex, or two, getting sort of a flat spot in them so they don't get your knife very sharp. Number three, though, the worst part about those is it's been shown that they'll take the carbides out of the steel. So that means, so the carbide is kind of the hardest part of your blade, and that's what gives it those really good edge retaining properties. And you're pulling that hardest part that stays sharpest the longest out. And so you're going to get a sharp edge, but it's not going to last very long. Okay, so that's the last mistake that I see people make with sharpening. Now, there's a lot more that could be said about this, but I kind of wanted this to be a short and sweet video that would be just a quick sort of introduction, a few warning points. As I said, there'll be more videos about this stuff coming up. I hope you enjoyed this one, and we will talk to you soon.